welcoming Peter Lim John as he's looking forward.
Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. Full house, so deja vu going through my mind. So thank you so much for coming for such a talk. And allow me to begin by thanking the Harvard University Asia Center, Harvard University Kennedy School's Ratchavali Foundation Institute for Asia, Professor James Robson, Director of Harvard University Asia Center, and definitely our friends, Professor Jay Rosengard, who is in Thailand as we speak, so that we've been crossing paths for a long time and spending a bit of time on Zoom meetings. Professor Rosengard, if you hear this, next time hopefully we get to meet again. You know, traveling from Bangkok to Boston, you know, it's quite a distant, differing two cities, but I feel right at home. It's been 12 years since I graduated here, but to be back here is really something that words cannot describe. For some of you who might not know me, you know, my name is Pita Lim John. I'm the Thailand's 2023 election winner, former prime ministerial candidate, so still prime ministerial candidate, and most importantly, most proudly, Harvard alum of 2011. So if you're confused, you're not the only one. I mean, I'll do the justice and explain that combination in a sentence. You know, sometimes politics is hard to make sense anywhere in the world, including here in America and Thailand as well, but I'll spend some time to do that. But by now, I think you would know that I used to be one of you. I mean, I used to be in a different position. I used to probably sit somewhere right there where Dan Ginsberg, my friend right there, is sitting. But now I'm back to our viewers right here, and I'm standing right here, so I'm one of you, and I'm conscious of your time. You know, I know you have your problem sets, and PowerPoint presentations, and team projects. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go straight to the point. Just a few points that I wanted to make so that we can have some questions and answers later on, you know, to make sure that it's an interactive conversations. And I think the first point that I like to make is that Harvard works. It's classes like How to Run for Public Office, blocks away by Professor Steve Jardine, you know, that taught me how to run political campaigns. It's classes like Comparative Politics by Professor Pepper Culpepper. It's Competitiveness of Nations at the Business School by Professor Michael Porter. It's Political Parties in Practice. All those things that allowed me to turn textbooks into reality and to beat against all odds. We managed, I'm a rookie leader. I was, you know, running a political campaign for the first time for a 3-year-old party in a game that was designed that we lose. Gerrymandering, the way you calculate the constituencies, constitutional hardballs, but we won. You know, and because of that, I just want to ensure and send the message rather to, you know, beloved students or respected teachers that your time that you spend here, right here in Harvard, it can become a reality. And Harvard was really an integral part of my success of how I ran my political campaigns. Because of Harvard, I promised change in demilitarizing Thailand, improving the professionalism of the military, making sure they're up to speed when it comes to protecting Thais against external affairs, but never intervening in internal affairs and politics through cycles of military coups. And that's why I won. And I promised change to them, to demonopolization, because it was classes at the business school by Professor Porter that told me that competition means efficiency. So it was rather energy sector, retail sector, telecom sector, beverage sector, agricultural sector in Thailand that need demonopolization and rather use a legal, which should be a platform for equality as a barrier to entry for people not be able to participate in those businesses. I promised them change in decentralization. I told them Bangkok is not Thailand and Thailand is not Bangkok, so that when COVID crisis hit the country and 50% of the budget and 50% of the economy is gone because of that. Demilitarization, demonopolization, decentralization, my platform in a nutshell. And that's what gave me the victory as well as preventing me from governance. So that's my explanation for that introduction that I gave to you. 2023, Thailand's election winner by 38%, 14.4 million votes for the first time that I led a political party. Still a prime ministerial candidate, temporarily suspended on technicality, and that's why I'm here. And that's really the struggle of politics, of elected versus appointed. You see how this is how it works. There's a joint session in Parliament of 750 representatives, 500 elected, lower house, 250 in the upper house, appointed by the military junta. And it's a simple majority who pass, we can all do the math, 376, I got 324. And then, we won the victory. We formed a strong coalition, that reflected the hope of the people. That change is coming here to Thailand. It's a new dawn, it's a new day. Then I needed the numbers, the votes from the appointed senators. Apparently, unfortunately, 50 of them did not show up for quorum. So devil's in the detail. You need 376 divided by the number of people who were active as a whole, not active in the parliament, active on that list. So 50 of them, majority of them have promised me that they understood what was going on, decided they wanted to see change in Thailand, a structural one, not just a minimum one, a structural one in Thailand, and wanted to come and vote, but unfortunately they couldn't make it to quorum. So a quorum can overcome an elected prime ministerial choice in Thailand. But that was the story. But still, it's my main message about this is loud and clear, and it should be an encouragement to all of you that your problem sets, your PowerPoint presentations, your team meetings, really matter, and you could also be speaking down here, just like me, maybe in a shorter time frame than 12 years as well. But the main message of what's going on in Thailand synchronizes with, I think, each one of you. It's not just a Thai story, that's the thing. We're gathering here at a pivotal moment. Democracy is in peril. Democracy is under siege. International peace is fragile and fleeting. When I first came here in Cambridge, 2006, according to Freedom House, 48% of the world lived in a free society. Guess what that number is today as we sit here? 20%. That's democratic backsliding. Something is going on around the world. And even the most advanced, institutionalized democracies are seeing those numbers declining as well. Why is that? My argument is this. Going back in time a little bit, during the Cold War, when thriving democracies were flourishing all around the world. At the same time, there was another thing, an economic structure, no matter how you call it, you could call it neoliberal capitalism or things like that. But, those things that come out, if democracy is about redistribution of power, but that economic structure that came with it, neoliberal capitalism or anything, however you want to call it, it's about concentration of wealth. When I was born, the inequality in the world within countries, the top 1% and the bottom 50%, that's about eight times in terms of income inequality. And guess what that number is today? 16 times. So 8% of the richest, 8 of the richest people holds 50% is much more than the bottom 50% of the rest of the world. And that number is essentially true in Thailand also. 1% of Thais hold 67% of the wealth. So you wouldn't blame them, would you? Of why people are questioning democracy at the same time that it's about redistributing power, but then it gives together with an economic structure that is a concentration of wealth. Add that with economic devastation that comes from COVID. So we see that all these things are coming together in a perfect storm that requires not just what's happening in Thailand, it's happening anywhere in the world, no matter where you come from. So now what do we do? How do we create a society or a political structure that allows both redistribution of power and redistribution of wealth at the same time? Inclusive growth. And different countries have different ways of doing it. For us, what we propose is that it's a country that focuses not just on profitability. We focus on environment, we focus on land rights, land justice, environmental rights, social welfare state that takes care of our labor, empowering them. So that's like also almost like social democracy to us. And it doesn't matter if you agree or disagree, but it's about really coming together to really think about how we create this architecture of how we proceed going forward. Now, that's Thailand, that's the first part. The second part is that, it's not just Thailand, it's all of us right here in this room. The third part is, what's that collective action that we can do together? The collective action of, achieving the unachievable. So that we can think about this, I was thinking once we took care of our problems domestically, we demilitarize, we demonopolize, we decentralize, that's when domestic affairs is intact. And then we can start thinking about foreign policy. Because foreign policy is a reflection of domestic policy. I mean, it's very hard for you to have credibility and relevance if you go to any other parts of the world or any other countries and tell them what not to do, and then your own country and your own mess you cannot control. So I was hoping that, a last change that is just that domestic, in the sense that I wanted to tell the world that Thailand is back, and Thailand means business, and that we're a middle power. We're not a small country. We're the second largest country in Asia. And together, working with the ASEAN countries, if not all, at least the founding members of ASEAN, Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, and Singapore. And if we come together, that's $3.6 trillion in terms of economy. That's 670 million people. Any other countries in the world, whether you're a superpower or not, you cannot ignore us. But the point is, because we couldn't take care of our problems domestically, that we don't have the credibility to be like at the core of ASEAN. To really make ASEAN centrality matter is that relevance and credibility have to be right in the middle of it. Myanmar, Russia, Ukraine, Israel, Hamas. These are the things that are happening far away from Thailand, but is really impacting what's going on in Thailand. 56 hostages by Hamas, number 2 in the world. 54 or 56, you have to fact check me. But I think that's according to Israel Foreign Affairs, but it's 18 according to Thai Foreign Affairs. All these things are the things that we really need to look outward to make sure that, we are part of the international community, that we, together with the ASEAN founding members, that we are telling the world that right makes might, and might doesn't make right. That we're returning to middle power, returning together and say that rule-based world order. Thailand is back. Thailand means business. It's meaning that we are reviving foreign policy once again after the absence of maybe the past 10 years during the military coup. We want to be able to rebalance once again. And rebalance in this sense is not taking sides. It's about sticking to principles. We want to be able to criticize our friends and talk to our foes as a middle power. We want to be able to recalibrate the issues of foreign policies when it comes to ties. Usually it's about trades and investment and security alliance with the US. But we want to recalibrate that to be about environment, to be about climate change, to be about gun safety, to be about gun laws. My condolences to the victims, 22 of them in Maine. You know, our country also faced something very similar at a mall that was done by a 14-year-old. So those are the things that we could recalibrate and share our grief together and learn together and how to come up with solutions together. But the thing is, we still couldn't do that. Then again, collective actions that we needed to come together, you know, to achieve the unachievable, to turn struggles into strength, to turn pain into prosperity, to turn values into victory together. That's really up to all of us. You know, if you do well, but I don't show up, missing in action. If you do well, I'm missing in action. Those are the things that are absent from international architecture when it comes to peace building. So I think there's like a part for all of us to do, your part and my part, you know, that we could come together and make this world a better place moving forward. And Thailand will definitely be in the middle of that going forward. So in the next couple of years, I still look forward to be the bridge, you know, people to people with Americans, parliament to parliament, public sector to public sector, private sector to private sector, and lastly, government to government eventually. Thank you so much for your time. That's your turn. Your turn. Okay, cool.
No, it's not my turn. Nobody wants to listen to me here. They're all here for you. And so we have some plenty of time to field questions from the audience.
Absolutely.
Would you like me to recognize people, or would you like to do it yourself?
I'll do it myself.
Okay, good. I figured you would.
That's part of the training as well.
Indeed, yeah.
Okay, let me see some show of hands. Maybe a couple of them. Number 1, number 2, number 3. Let's take 3 at a time so that I remember the question. How's that? Are we good? Alrighty. Your turn. Go ahead. Howadi Kap.
Brian from Thailand, also HKS student.
Oh, cool.
Thank you. Thank you so much for visiting us today and giving us a speech. Just a
Technical issue. That's fine.
No worries.
That's okay.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Happens.
Yes, just a quick question and also sharing my concerns about our countries, right? As we all know, we have been in a stagnant growth over the past 10 years, rising debt to GDP. I think I would like to hear from you on your perspectives on, you know, for the future of Thailand, right? Apart from the demilitarization, decentralization, the demonopolization, what are the key target sectors that the future policy should address that could be the, you know, growth engine for Thailand, and how do we see we should implement that?
Okay, the second question, please. I'll take rounds of questions so that people can get to ask. How much time do we have for this room?
We have plenty of time.
Okay.
Hi, thank you so much for coming. My name's Satomi. I'm half Thai, also MPID, so HKS, as well as dual degree with HBS. One of the things that I think a lot of us who come to higher education here wish to go back to do is change the country, which you obviously have done, but it's obviously a very uphill battle. So what is your advice in terms of staying motivated? What is your advice for new grads in terms of how you should sequence, how you want to change the world? Do you go straight into it, or do you think of it as maybe the first 10 years building up the skill sets to then be effective? So more of a personal question for you.
Okay, gotcha. Number 3, please. I understand that it was Professor Said. Are you exercising your rights, or are you?
Thank you very much. So I'm Michael Hertzfeld. I'm the founding director of the Thai Studies program, now out to pasture, but very happy to see so many people here for this wonderful event, and to thank Kun Pita for really a remarkable of really important points in a very short speech. So I will try to be equally brief. It's often said that Thailand is a land of compromise. I have, in my own research work, have focused on the fact that you have a constant tension in Thailand between authoritarian and egalitarian impulses. The impulse for democracy has always been there, but so has the other thing. And the other thing is the elephant in the room in more ways than perhaps we want to enumerate. So is there a way forward that actually overcomes the invocation of that compromise, which has been used again and again and again to subvert the democratic process? Thank you.
Thank you so much. So I'll take all 3 questions first in answer, and then we'll do a second round. Is that cool with you? Oh, good? Yes. The first question was more about, economic prosperity for the past 10 years, rising debt to GDP, and key target sectors. My short answer to you is we have to recognize problems and turn them into assets. If you focus only on our assets, tourism, export-led, and all those things, you could improve it, but then there's very limited amount of rooms for you to actually proceed, as well as the inequality side of it that I was telling you about. So how do we come about inclusive growth? Is turning our liability, national liability, poor water sanitation, lack of internet infrastructure, measuring the map of each land so that you give land justice to the indigenous people. All these things are pain points, if you are from the business school as well. This is like the pain points that we could turn into industries that Thailand could really master. And once you master it in one district, you could expand it through the entire region. And then you can do it nationally. And then you can do it throughout our neighboring countries in ASEAN. Imagine if you just turn tap water into drinking water. You need some measuring flows, and you need some IoT devices in order for you to check if the quality of the water is good, and provide that to the 76 districts all around Thailand. What kind of industry is that? It's like changing the environment. It's about giving people the public good that they deserve. EV bus, transportation in Bangkok, as Professor would know, is horrendous. And also the air pollution coming out of it. I was just speaking to another nominee of Time 100 Next, and all they said about Bangkok and Chiang Mai was about the pollution. But if we find a secret sauce that takes care of all these problems and turn them into potential, problem into potential, and that's how you create growth, and also taking care of it in a commercial side, as well as something that's good for the people as well. So that would be my answer. Second part, personal question. In 2 sentences, be bold, be ambitious. And I think really Thailand, the country, and the world really needs a younger juice, a younger generation creativity of ideas that mix up and find new consensus in new normal. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? I mean, the world has changed so much. When I was sitting in your seat and I'm standing here, that 12 years, the new normal that comes from COVID crisis, from the pandemic, from decoupling, you name it. But the problem with this world is that we have old consensus in new normal. But so how do you create new consensus? Is that the younger generations have to speak up. We needed to speak up. Otherwise, it will be left to, a certain generation that matters. But again, otherwise, the future that you probably have, or I, for sure, I have about 40 years left if I live to an average life, and it's a large amount of future that matters to me and my child. So you have to be bold and be ambitious and really contribute as fast as possible. The right time is now. So try it out as young as possible and try your best. And if you fail, you could always try again. So that would be my advice. Third, to Professor, how do we come about this land of compromise and also the struggle, of democracy and competitive authoritarianism for the past 90 years? I think it's about the right infrastructure and the right culture. As of now, there's really hard infrastructure and constitutional hardballs that would prevent elected officials to assume power to govern. It's really coming to domination of ideas through soft power to really show that Thailand has changed, and we want to really have a culture that demands a change. And so to the extent that could be collapsed from within. And these terms, I have to give credits to Harvard professors. Tyranny of the minority, for example. Those are the things that have a robust opposition, you have robust media, you have international scrutiny, you have collapse from within, not because you have guns and bullets, but because you have domination of ideas and you're explaining that this is a win-win solution for the country. It's just not for me, it's not just for you, but it's not even a compromise of principles, but because we have a system that allows conflict, as well as conflict management by itself. Let people speak and let people's choice govern. I can do it. Next time I'm out, people will vote me out. Let the political parties die because nobody chooses them anymore. Not because someone, made some revenue from cooking shows or, trying to come out with a proper campaign finance and disbanding political parties. This is something that takes time, but I think it's sustainable. Rather than any other choices that, is probably going through people's mind. It's a road less traveled, be comfortable with the uncomfortable. It's going to take time, but I think the reason why we found the party to bring about change, because I know it's slow, but it's irreversible also. So that's how we're going to go about it. We're going to win more next time. That's what we do. Okay, I'm just getting started. I don't know about you guys, but bring it on. 3 more questions, please. Maybe one from here, one from here, one from here. Okay, that's you right there. You at the back, and I'll come back to you. So, yeah. Okay, from left to the back and into the right, please. Not just because I'm leaning, but anyways.
ดูคลิปจบแล้วอย่าลืมกดไลค์กดแชร์กดติดตามกดกระดิ่งให้ด้วยนะครับ